So friends, in the previous videos we saw that we created a project. That was the first step. The second, we connected and authenticated to the database. In this we are going to create the schema. We will create tables which will be synced to the Postgres database. Okay, so let's do that. We were here in the Visual Studio Code in the previous step. Now let us create the files in a structured way as I did for the database also. So I'll create a source folder. This is going to have all our source code, and since we are going to use the MVC pattern, I'll create all the folders here. So I'll create the model folder here, and in the model folder I'll create the file users.js. So this is the users.js file that is going to have the table structure. Okay, now before we do anything here, uh, we need to use the Sequelize. Okay, and our Sequelize is here. So we need to bind the schema with those tables. So what we need to do is uh, I'll create an object. So that is going to have all our schemas and this Sequelize, and that is going to be used everywhere. So to do that, we will write const db, and let us have this object, and in this db we will assign the Sequelize. So db dot Sequelize equals to Sequelize. Now anywhere we can refer this Sequelize with this db. Okay, also what we are going to do is, for the accessing the user model, we will write db dot users equals to, and we will call that file. Okay, require the file we just created dot dash, and it is within the source and in the source models in the users. Okay, so now that file will be available here, but we need to use this Sequelize there. So in order to do that, we will pass these two objects. One is the Sequelize. Also we will need the database. So instead of importing those data types, basically data types, not database, we will pass it from here only. Okay, so we will use this data types also. See, the moment I write it here, it appeared here. Okay, so now we are not going to import anything there. We are just passing these two here, where Sequelize is already initialized, and we will use these to create the models. Okay, now these two things will be available there. So what we are going to do is, we will create the model and we will directly export it from here also. So like module dot exports equals to, and we will receive those two parameters. Okay, Sequelize, which was with a small s, and the data types. This is what we pass, and we are not going to use this. Okay, and then within this, what we need to do is, we need to define the model. So const model, some people write it actually the object as a user, but I prefer writing model itself, equals to Sequelize, and Sequelize dot define. Within this we can give the table name that we are going to use, users, and then here all the fields. Okay, so you just need to remember this structure, that's all, and you can use it for any number of models that you would like to create. And then here we will return model. Okay, now let us define the fields. So the first field would be ID, obviously, and the type of the id would be data types dot integer. Okay, now it must be primary key. Okay, primary key, so we'll write primary key true, and then auto increment, that is also true. So this will keep on increasing one by one. We have already seen in other development environment. The second field would be name. Okay, so in the name also we'll write type and data types dot string. Okay, uh, allow null, we will make it false. This will validate. Okay, we can leave it, but I prefer to write all those things here. Allow null is false. Then the next field is email. Okay, and in the email the type would be data types dot string, and it must be unique. Okay, true, and allow null is false. Okay, so name, email, and we can have the password also. Password. Okay, type is data types dot string, allow null equals to false. Okay, so that's all. This is what we need to do in order to create the model. Once you are done a few times, you will be able to create any number of models. So here just see what we are receiving, these two parameters, and these two we are using for creating, and we are returning this model. So this will be basically available here as db.users. Now if we run this command again, okay, let's see what happens. Database authenticated successfully. This model is there, this is, but do you know it has done anything? Okay, let us see. It has not done anything here. We come and refresh this schema and we check there is table. No table. This has not done anything, no table, because we just configured it here but we did not sync it. So in order to sync, what we need to do is db dot Sequelize dot sync. Okay, when we do this, when we call this one, this will go and create the table in the database. Okay, so we will sync and then we will check. Okay, then let's see what has been done. Okay, console dot log database sync successfully. So if it syncs successfully, this will give this message. If not, then it will go in catch and we will print the error. Okay, so console dot log database sync failed. Okay, and we will print the error also. Okay, this is done. Now if we will save this file, we'll save this file. Now if we run it, see what happens. Okay, see, it gave lot of messages, but at the end you see this is saying database sync successfully. If we want to check whether this table is created with the fields that we have given, we will go to the Postgre and we will refresh it, and we will come in here in the table, and wow, see, this table is created with the fields name, email, password. Okay, so we have successfully synced the database Now one thing I would like to uh, do here, because see this is giving lot of messages every time it is creating the database, so we can go to this config file and we can write login equals to false. Okay, and save it. Now if we do the same, this will not show all those query etc. It will simply say okay, database authenticated successfully and database synced successfully.